What's up, beautiful people? Today's video is going to be a little bit different from what I normally post because we recently passed 100,000 subscribers on this channel, which is just absolutely insane and beyond my wildest dreams in terms of how large this channel has gotten, which I'm so grateful for. I remember just 2 years ago in July of 2023, when I had just started my channel, probably had 50 subscribers, and at that point in time, it was honestly insane to even think about hitting, say, 1,000 subscribers, and that was like my pinnacle goal right there, because on YouTube, for those of you who don't know, when you hit 1,000, that's kind of like the monetization threshold. Basically, it's an important milestone, not just because, you know, it's 4 figures, but also because you start to earn a little bit of AdSense revenue once you get to that point. And so at that time, I remember everything just felt so difficult. I don't know if I've ever spoken on this channel specifically about the reason why I started posting, but before I get into that, today I just wanted to take a little bit of time and reflect on that journey from 0 to 100,000 subscribers on this channel, some of the things that I've learned that I think will be applicable to those of you who watch my channel, and hopefully you take something away from this that will inspire you or at least help you to achieve your goals and your dreams. And so without further ado, let's get right into it. The reason why I started this channel was, well, there were a few reasons, but first of all, I, for a long time, had felt kind of like my life working in New York, I was in investment banking at the time, felt very routine. And you know, there's nothing wrong with that. I think for some people, you want that kind of routine and stability. But for me, I'd been working for about a year, 2 years. I was now in a management consulting role. I'd switched out of investment banking over to a consulting firm. But you know, things still felt very stagnant, and it really felt like my weekends were just doing the same thing over and over again. And during the week, I would be like racing towards the weekend, but then on the weekends, I would, you know, watch Netflix, I would play video games, maybe hang out with friends, go out, eat some food, and then, you know, somehow the weekend would pass by really quickly, and I would be back on Monday morning just kind of wondering how I got here. And it felt like there was something missing. Over time, I kind of realized that I had this desire to create something instead of just be consuming. But I was pretty scared, and I, you know, didn't want to just start posting on social media because what are people going to think, right? What are my parents going to think? What are my friends going to think? And what are my coworkers, most important of all, going to think if I start posting videos about, say, work? And so I was really scared, and it took me a while to really build up that courage to post that first video. And one of the catalysts that pushed me over the edge is my family's cat named Snowy, who we'd had for maybe the last 15 to 20 years, passed away. And to an outsider, it's like, okay, that's sad, your pet died. But for me, it was the first time that something that I had grown up with as a young child had left the world. And I felt this profound sense of loss. And that, for me, was like the turning point where I realized, look, if you're not going to do it now, you probably never will. And life is just too short to not go after the things that you want to go after, or to live the kind of life that you want to live. And so long story short, I was watching a bunch of these like YouTube advice videos, and one of these videos was saying that, okay, you better post your first video in the next 24 hours. Otherwise, I promise you, you're not going to post it. You never will. And so I took that up as a challenge, and I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Like, let me just prop my iPhone camera on top of like a stack of books, talk at it for maybe 5 minutes, and then use a crappy free editing software to chop it up into little bits, throw on some free non-copyrighted music onto it that was way too loud because I had no idea what I was doing in the editing software, and then just uploaded it within 24 hours onto my personal YouTube channel, and sent it to my mom, who I think shared it in a family WhatsApp group with a few extended relatives. So they were like my first 5 or 6 views ever. And just looking back on that time, it was so insane because I don't really know why I committed after that point to posting every single week for at least 6 to 12 months. I told myself, look, I'm going to post every week for 6 to 12 months, and after that period is over, so say after a year is done and I've posted every single week, if my channel is still a failure and maybe only 100 people or less than 100 people are watching the videos, then I will hang it up and say, look, I have no regrets because I at least tried this thing. And this leads me to one of the first learnings that I realized along this journey, which is the lonely beginning. Whenever you are setting out to do something of significance, to do something that matters to you, it doesn't matter if it's on social media. Maybe for you, it's something totally different. Maybe it's like pursuing a certain degree. Maybe you want to do a PhD and you want to publish some real cutting-edge research. Or maybe you have some kind of goal in your career where you want to start your own company or get promoted and be partner in less than 10 years. Doesn't matter what that goal is, but whenever you start out, there's always this period in the beginning, which I will just call the lonely beginning, where you are the only person who believes that you can do it. Now, some of us are fortunate. Maybe we have really supportive families, or you have a significant other or a best friend who has been supporting you since day one. But not everybody is that lucky. And deep down, I think it's fundamentally very important to have an ounce of belief in yourself so that when you start anything and you're in that lonely beginning where it feels like you're the only one who really cares and wants that thing for you so badly, that you will not quit or you will not lose motivation or lose commitment to that goal when things get hard, because I guarantee you they will get hard, and it's not easy to stay consistent to a goal, even if it is a goal that is very important to you. Life gets in the way, we get busy with other things, other obstacles get thrown at you, and it's only natural that unless you're very, very committed to something and you prioritize that thing, that you will continue doing it for a very long period of time. And that's necessary because if you want to see long-lasting and significant, like real results, you have to be doing that thing for a long enough time. And I've said this before, but 99% of people will stop something within the first 6 months. Think about the last time that you had some kind of goal, or you wanted to try some challenge, or you told yourself you're going to do something, maybe you told other people about it. How long did you actually stick to it? Chances are that maybe you stuck with it for a month, maybe 2 months, maybe 3 months, maybe even 4 months. But 6 months in, unless you were able to turn it into something that you did no matter what, you probably dropped off or you stopped being consistent with it. And I'm not here to be like the hustle culture guy. I definitely don't think pure productivity for the sake of productivity makes sense. I think we also have to let ourselves rest when it matters so that we don't burn out, a lesson that I personally learned the hard way. But now that we understand that the lonely beginning is not easy, I want to move over to talking about what it took to go from, say, 1,000 to 100,000. And I think one of the most important lessons that I learned is that there are many different things that people will tell you. And you will read and hear about a lot of different advice on the internet. Everyone will have a perspective on how you should do your thing, how you should study for your test, how you should pick your major in college, how you should pick your career, what the best way to interview is, and once you're in a job, what you should do after you've worked there for 2 years. Maybe you should go to business school. Maybe you should stay and get promoted. Maybe you should transition to another career path completely. Everyone will have a perspective, and the problem is that they're all giving you advice based on what actually makes sense to them, on their lived experience, not necessarily what's best for you. And it takes a little bit of experience to understand this, but with any goal, there are typically a core set of things, less than 5 things that you'll probably need to do in order to really move the needle and see progress. So it's kind of like that concept in consulting of 80-20. 80-20. The 80-20 rule basically means that 80% of the results come from 20% of the actions. I think it's called the Pareto principle, actually. It might not be a consulting thing. And so typically if you're a beginner in any practice, what you're struggling with is figuring out what the 20% of things is. And so you are doing all sorts of things, making mistakes left and right, and all of it is for the goal of figuring out what the 20% of actions you need to take are to actually achieve 80% of the results. And with content as an example, once I realized that, okay, it does not matter all of these growth hacks and things that other people were telling me about, oh yeah, you should make videos like this, oh yeah, you should try to copy this popular YouTuber, and you should do this. You know, your channel will totally blow up when you go and make this viral video, right? Like, here's a great idea for you. Once I realized that it does not matter, 90% of the things that people were telling me did not matter, but 10%, maybe there was like 10% of gold nuggets that actually did matter. And once I was able to identify those things, that was when my growth in this channel really took off. And for me, one of the things that is extremely important and is truly what I believe contributes to over 80% of the results is nothing about analyzing the metrics or using some crazy tool to figure out how to make viral videos or copying my competitors even. It's really just understanding who I'm speaking to. And it's such a simple thing, but once you realize it, and if you internalize it, this is as a content creator, you will just see your growth skyrocket, because a lot of people just try to speak to everyone and they want to please everyone out there. The problem is that is not how you grow. You don't want to be somewhat liked by many people. You want to be loved by a small, dedicated group of followers, your niche. And so every time I make a new video or I try to think of a new video idea, really what I'm doing is I'm thinking really deeply about, okay, who am I talking to? Okay, and in the beginning, for me, this was my former self. This was Matt, who was in college and felt like a loser and was really stressed and anxious about landing an internship and then eventually a full-time job, and who honestly had a lot of imposter syndrome and insecurity about whether or not he could even be successful in this world. And you know, he had a good heart, he worked really hard, but maybe he didn't really know what direction to go in, and he really depended on the advice from people older than him who had done things a few steps ahead, including his older brother. And you know, I'm very grateful to have had a wonderful brother who gave me lots of advice during this tough time. And today I try and be kind of like that older brother to many of you who maybe are a few steps behind me and are looking to succeed in your careers and in your life. And so that for me is the 20% that really leads to 80% of the results. It's really thinking deeply and understanding deeply who is that one person that I'm talking to. It's not 10 people, it's not 20 people, it's not 1,000 people that I'm trying to talk to. I'm trying to talk to one person, and if at least one person out there watching this video right now gets some form of value from this video, then I will consider the hours of time that I've put into this video to be worth it and this video to be a success. It's not about the views, it's not even about the subscribers, even though this video is about what I've learned from the subscribers. If anything, what I've learned is that subscribers and views, all of that is just a vanity metric, and it doesn't really mean that much. What I care more about is, am I actually producing a video that brings value to someone's life and helps them to either learn something or fix some kind of problem in their life, or to feel understood and to realize that they're not alone. So if I accomplish any of those 3 things, I feel good about posting this video. And so if you're thinking about making content, or maybe you're a content creator right now, one thing I would say is do not chase the algorithm. You should chase the one person that you're trying to speak to and try to really deeply understand their problems, what they care about, their hopes and dreams, etc., so that you can speak to them and so that they feel seen and understood. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what platforms you're posting on or how these platforms evolve or change their algorithms. The people who are using these platforms are people, and there's a human element that is always going to be number one, even in the era of AI. I had to throw that in there. But anyways, the last thing that I will leave you with, because I know this has been a bit of a rambly video, is that you don't know what you're capable of until you do it. And the only way to find out what's possible for you is to actually go out there and try it. So I know if you're watching this video right now, you probably have some kind of goal or a vision or at least an inkling of a dream for your life or for your career. If you're watching this channel, you're looking to improve certain aspects of your life, whether it's your communication, your career, etc. And so I know that deep down, there's probably something, a goal of yours that maybe feels a little bit too big right now. Maybe you're thinking, oh, you know, in an ideal scenario, I would want to go here, but then, you know, realistically, I can probably aim slightly below it and, you know, then my chances are higher, right? And so I should do that. And that way, basically, I have a higher likelihood of achieving this goal because it's not as ambitious as the one that I actually want. But just stop lying to yourself and realize that if you don't aim as high as possible, then you are going to just end up probably where you aimed. And if you have realistic goals, then you're most likely going to achieve those realistic goals. Of course, you have to put in the time, the effort, whatever. If you're watching this channel, I'm assuming you are someone who is ambitious, and so you're willing to put in the time and the effort. But what I would push you on is you don't know what you're capable of until you actually achieve it. And so you should shoot really high. You know, there's this saying, shoot for the stars and you might land on the moon, which is still really good. And the same applies here. If you have a goal right now that you're feeling a little bit scared about, and maybe you're worried about what other people are going to think about, oh, so-and-so, look at them, like they're trying to do this. Look at her, like she's trying to get into that school, but you know, I know her from high school, she's not that smart. Or look at him, he's trying to get that job in management consulting or in investment banking. He's not the smartest guy. I don't think he has the best social skills. And I don't even know why he's trying. There will be people who are trying to take you down. There will always be these haters that are trying to see you fail. And the only reason why they're being haters is because deep down, they are too insecure about themselves. And they want to bring you down to their level. So if you get haters, realize that that is actually a good sign, and it means you're doing the right thing. Because nothing worth having is easy. If it was easy, then everyone would have it, and therefore it would have very little value. So all I'm trying to say, to tie this all up, is look, if you have a goal right now, in your mind, just think of it. I want you to go out there today and pursue that goal and realize that there is no such thing as failure. Even if you aim for that super high up goal that you think is impossible and you land a little bit below that, you still succeeded. And in the best case scenario though, you achieve even more than you thought was possible. But anyways, I wanted to thank you for all the support over the years. I read the comments. I recognize a lot of the names of people who have been around since the early days, and I really appreciate, you know, whether you're an OG or you recently joined, I am extremely grateful to be able to have your support, and I feel honored because this doesn't feel like something that I deserve. And so my promise to you is that I will continue to try and make content that brings value to your life, and I will put my best foot forward and try my hardest as much as humanly possible to help you achieve your goals. But anyways, that's all I had. Let me know if you found this video helpful. I know it wasn't the most organized, but if you did enjoy this format, let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.